Okay, today we're comparing three leather Planet of the Apes vests, gorilla vests. The one in the center is actually a 1968 screen-used gorilla vest from the first film. The one on the right is an Apemania replica, and the one on the left is from a company called Suzahdi, which we believe is from Pakistan. There's not a lot of information on Suzahdi, but from what we were able to find out, it's a Pakistan-made item. Both the original and the Apemania are made here in the United States, and they're actually made out of a nice cowhide. The Suzahdi is, we believe, is made out of goat skin. It's much thinner, much lighter weight, and it's made very interesting compared to the other two. The original, as well as the Apemania, because all of Apemania's replica costumes are patterned from original screen-used wardrobes, so they try to get it as stitch per stitch accurate as the screen-used items. The Pakistani one is different. The original in the center is the front. Let's talk about the front. It's made up of two panels, the right and the left panel, with the piping details sewn on top, and then nicely tucked under for a nice finished edge, and the Apemanias are obviously done the same way, sticking true to the originals. The Pakistan Suzahdi one is not two panels, a right and a left. There are actually 16 individual panels on the front of this vest, 8 on each side, with the piping detail being sewn in behind those panels instead of on top of the panels. And the piping is actually too small. It's a much narrower cording than what was used on the original. And while we're up here at the shoulder, I'll show that the original has 2 rows of piping, and the Suzahdi, the Pakistan one, has 1 row of piping with a double stitch added to kind of simulate the second row, and then they just kept going, kind of sloppy, and sewed right off the end of the vest there rather than doing a nice rolled under deal. It's interesting that they've created so much more work for themselves than they would have had they just used a single panel for each side. But if it's goat skin, the hides are going to be smaller, so that might be the reason why there's so many pieces as opposed to just using one for each side of the vest. One thing they did do, like the original, is the way they mounted the zipper on top of the front of the vest, and that's the way the originals were done. And we believe the reason for this is so that they could quickly move this zipper if they needed to put this vest on a performer that was slightly larger or smaller than it was built for. The Apemania vests, on the other hand, are actually made like a jacket. So the zipper is where it would be if it was on a leather jacket. Of course, the Suzahdi and the Apemania vests are made to your specifications when you give them your sizes. But it's interesting that they've kind of, the Suzahdis are built the same way the original ones are. The insides of both the Apemania and the Suzahdis are lined with like a nylon jacket lining. The Suzahdi has a pocket on each side of the inside, so you can keep your cell phone or your wallet or something in there. So that's convenient. The Apemania doesn't do that, but you can request it. Something else that the Suzahdis did were they put the horse riding slits in on the sides, and on some of the original screen-used gorilla vests, they had these slits, and then there was a snap that held them together at the bottom. So if they weren't on a horse, they were walking around, this is snapped together. But if they're on a horse, it opens up so that the vest doesn't ride up on the performer. It gives them a little more freedom and space. Color-wise, because we're looking right at it, I mean, obviously, the gorillas, and you can't really tell in this fluorescent light, but the gorillas were a plum purple color. And this one is showing that for 2 decades or so after the show's wrapped, the original wardrobes hung on racks at Western Costumes under skylights. So you can see that the leading edge of the shoulder all the way down the side of the vest is more of a bluer tone, and it's really reading much bluer in the camera than it does in real life. But that's because all the red has been bleached out of it by the sun for all those years. It's the original color, especially for the first movie, was a nice, rich, warm plum color. The Apemania one is slightly bluer. It actually is reading almost black on this video, but it's very close. It's in between the reddish plum and the bluish plum. It's like right in between that. And then, of course, Suzahdi is brown. So you might be saving money by getting the Suzahdi, but then you're still going to have to spend money and time correcting the color. And if you've got off-brand or off-make gloves or boots, they're more than likely going to be black. So when you see if you can order, if you're going to order a Suzahdi, see if you can order it in black at least, because that is the color most associated with the gorilla leathers, especially in the toys that came out in the 70s. They always got it wrong as well and made the vests and boots and gloves black and not purple. But brown, they never were brown. So when ordering, see if you can get them to do it in black for you so you don't get orange or green or brown vests. And while we're looking at the back side here, let's point out how the backs are made. The backs, again, are 2 pieces on the originals and the Apemania, which doesn't want to cooperate right now. But there's a big scallop pattern. Then the piping is added on top of that, and of course it's rolled under to finish. The Suzahdi, on the other hand, piping again sewn in from behind, and then that whole scalloped back plate is sewn in from behind as well. It's also too short. So I'm back up here and show you it compared to the other vests. You can see that it's extremely wide, but then again, this is a 5XL vest. But that scalloped back pattern is really short. It should go farther down the back. And while we're looking at the back, the Suzahdi Pakistan has a seam running up the back. Again, forgivable because they might be using smaller animals like goats and not cows for the leather. And as mentioned, the leather is very thin. It's not fragile thin, but it's thin compared to the original and the Apemania replicas. As far as prices are concerned, the Suzahdi, again, this is one of their leather ones. And I've seen those online range in price from $240 to $400 and some odd dollars, depending on who you're getting them from, what retailer you're getting them from, and how much they're marking it up, being the middleman. And of course, the screen-used originals, you can't really touch those for less than $2,000 these days. And the Apemania, if you're not buying it, if you're buying it separate and not part of a full ensemble, Apemanias, I believe, are $850 just for the vest. But then again, you're going to get it in the right color and or a color close to original. Whereas the money you're saving by getting the Suzahdi vest, you then have to invest in getting the color correct. And you think about all the back and forth of shipping it to somebody that can do it, or your trial and error of doing it yourself. Is it worth it? Again, it's well made. It doesn't really hang. But again, this is a big one. It doesn't hang, obviously, the same way on the hanger as the cowhide versions do. But there again, so $200 to $400, $2,000, and around $850. So there you go. I think we covered everything. Oh, we didn't peek inside the original. The original is not lined with a nylon. It's actually lined with the same duck fabric that the shirt and the pants are made with, which I'm sure the performers were thankful for that, because it's absorbent and breathes a little bit better than nylon. And I think it just had a surplus of the cotton duck. So there you go. But I think we've covered just about everything as far as the details and differences, color differences. So there you have it. A review of 3 leather Planet of the Apes Gorilla Vests.